Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Berman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, October 26, 2022. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Hey, Chet, it's Red October. The Phillies are going to the World Series, my friend. The Eagles are the only remaining undefeated team in the NFL. The Union are in the MLS semifinals. Yes, I said it. The Union. The Flyers are competing every night. The Sixers, well, we'll have to wait and see. What a fun Red October to be a Philly sports fan.
If you're a 5 for 5 Philly sports fan, Bill, yeah, you're in your glory right now. I mean, wherever you look, there's a game on, or at least a preview about an upcoming game involving one of our Philly teams, with the Phillies, of course, getting the most attention because they're going to the freaking World Series. First time in 13 years for that. We're pretty excited about it. And it's, prompted a lot of us to make some adjustments to our weekend plans, maybe upsetting our spouses, not saying anyone in particular, but hey, it is what it is, right?
That's right. That's right. I'll tell you what, Chad, it's the kind of thing, I was thinking about this today. You mentioned 13 years ago, and then we had 2 in a row, but it was 93 before that, 83 before that, 80 before that. It just doesn't happen that often. So when you get a chance, you got to get after it. You got to enjoy it because you just never know when the next one will be.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we're going to try to cover all the bases in what's going to be a fun hour. We had to shift some things around a bit because the Eagles bulked up a little bit, made a trade. So one of our guests happens to be an Eagles beat reporter. So he's still cranking out some stories related to that acquisition, which we will get to with him in our second half hour, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll save that Eagles talk because Chet, Howie and the boys continue to load up. They're going all in here. It looks like it's Super Bowl or bust for the Philadelphia Eagles here in 2022.
Yeah, it sure seems that way. Howie pulls off another one. Most fans seem to be happy about it. So, they got a guy in Robert Quinn of the Bears, who we'll talk about later, who is a sackmeister. Got off to a slow start this year, but he had a whole bunch of sacks, I think 18 and a half last year. So I'm excited about it. But we'll talk more about that in the second half hour.
Absolutely. But, hey, let's get talking about some Phillies, Chad. And, man, it's hard to think to where to even start as far as how this thing has played out. But let's start at the end. Was the Bryce Harper home run at the end, in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, something out of the movie The Natural or what?
It was pretty wild. It was pretty. And the funny thing was, when he hit it, he didn't really move that much. I wasn't sure if he thought it was going to be an out or if he knew it was gone. And I had all these thoughts like, well, what if it's like off the wall? Why is he not running hard? I had all these thoughts within like a 5-second span. And then we see it go over the fence. And it was quite a spectacle. I loved it.
Yeah, I think he knew and the pitcher knew.
Yeah.
No, and Bryce played it out a little bit. That was fun. But if as you work your way back, let's go to the end. Rob Thompson's getting a lot of credit for making a lot of good moves. He made a lot of bad moves, Chet. His players bailed him out. He took Zach Wheeler out again too early, set himself up for needing 9 outs from his bullpen. 2 of those 3 guys that were supposed to get 6 of those outs did not do the job this time around. But then bringing Ranger Suarez in at the end was genius. So, Dominguez didn't work. Robertson didn't work. Suarez was a genius move.
Yeah, it certainly worked out. And they're not bad moves if, things ultimately work out for you, I guess. But, Suarez got the job done. And, that was quick thinking on his part. First pitch he throws, the guy bunts on him, and nobody expected that. But Suarez is a good fielding pitcher. He handled it, threw the guy out at first. Not an easy play, certainly. But you mentioned the Bryce Harper call. You know what? Let's go back and revisit that, courtesy our buddy Scott Fransky.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Bryce Harper. Suarez delivers. Swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's going. Yes. And it is gone. Yes. It is bedlam at the bank as Bryce Harper has put the Phillies on top. Are you kidding me? Oh, his 10th career home run in the postseason. And he may never hit a bigger one. Wow. 4-3 Phillies in the bottom of the 8th inning. Crazy.
Crazy for sure. That courtesy, of course, 94 WIP and the Phillies. And boy, Fransky has been on fire. I've actually, caught a bunch of his work because I've been in the car for some of the early parts of the games. And he and Larry and T-Mac, when he does a couple innings, they have been just killing it on the radio.
Yeah, they've been great, and that was a great call. And I'm glad they captured that, and we got to, got to share it with us because it was definitely a great call and a great moment. But hey,
Bedlam, let's work our way. Bedlam at the bank. I like.
Well, and I was going to say the shirts are out. Bedlam at the Bank shirts are out. I saw today. Yeah,
nice.
I didn't see them live. I saw a picture of them where you could order them. Bedlam at the Bank with a little silhouette in the back of Bryce Harper with Bedlam at the Bank across it. So
I'm really wearing my Harper jersey today, so it says Harper on the back. Trust me.
I just decided to go to the bank tonight. Right?
Yes,
so,
I see.
Yeah. So hey, let's back our way up because I think if you go to the night before, where the Phils give up 4 in the first, the Bailey Falter situation did not work out well. Phillies end up coming back and winning that. And I think somewhere buried in there, Connor Brogdon. He comes in and he gives up 1 hit that allows a run to come in, but then he settles the score. He pitches great couple innings that gets them back on track of what they thought they were going to get out of Bailey Falter. It took them Falter and Brogdon to get there, but they got there, kept the game close. Hoskins coming back in the bottom of the first inning with a 2-run homer was awesome. Brad Hand's probably not going to see much work, but he didn't do well, but it just all worked out in a game that looked like it could get away from them. And I got to give Brogdon credit because he could have blown up, and all of a sudden that game is 6 or 8-0 after 1, 2, or 3 innings, and it's over.
Yeah, you mentioned that some of Thompson's moves didn't work out. Starting Bailey Falter did not. I would have gone with Syndergaard personally, just because he's had more experience. And, I think he would have been up to the task. But again, his offense bailed him out. It was funny. I was in Gettysburg for the weekend in central Pennsylvania for an event. So I missed the beginning of both the Friday and Saturday games. And Saturday, I was at this banquet for the first couple of innings. And I texted a picture, or I showed my brother-in-law, a picture of what was going on at the ball game. It was 4-0 already in the top of the first inning. And then I showed him again, 10 minutes later, Phillies are coming back 4-3. Eventually we made it to a sports bar, craft brewery sports bar, and got to watch the whole rest of the game. So yeah, the offense and the relief pitchers certainly bailed out the Phillies on Saturday night, and it all worked out great. We're all happy.
Yeah. And, I think the other thing, I don't think this is really lost in the woodwork anywhere. Big hits from Rhys Hoskins, big blast when they really needed it. The night before, he comes up and he strikes out 3 times and makes an error that a little leaguer doesn't make. Just a gosh awful night. Comes back the next night and hits 2 bombs, and they needed them both.
Yeah, he was occasionally pedestrian last season, and again this season. His fielding is always often an adventure. But man, he's had some huge hits here in the postseason, and I love his enthusiasm too. Not only when he hits them, but when other players hit him, like when Bryce or anybody else gets a big hit, they show the dugout, and Reese is always one of the guys who's just like thrilled to see what his teammates are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how can we have this conversation and not be talking about Schwarbombs? I mean,
he's getting hot, getting on base and getting some big hits all of a sudden. So that's great. Certainly need him. Still waiting for Castellanos to get it going in terms of some power, but hey, it's a team effort and it's all working.
I'm not too concerned about the power. Get on base. I'll go back. I think I said this last week, but I've said it several times to people since the playoffs started. Not a huge Alice Rodriguez broadcast fan, but he said something way back in the very beginning. Contact wins in October. He's not lying. Put the ball in play, move runners, hit an occasional home run. Don't strike out, make the other team make plays. He's dead on. That's what the Phillies have done, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are, and there they are celebrating the NLCS win, going back to the World Series, first time since 2009. And we got the official word today from the manager that it will be Aaron Nola starting on Friday night, Zach Wheeler on Saturday night. I had heard that possibility over the last few days, and I like it because, Nola hasn't pitched in a while. His the last time Houston actually lost a game was when Nola clinched the spot in the wild card for the Phillies 3.5 weeks ago, if you can believe that. But yeah, Nola hasn't pitched in a while, and Zach Wheeler will now get an extra day's rest. And, if need be, they'll have Nola and Wheeler then for games 5 and 6. So I think it's a great move. How about you?
Well, I'd say I think it's a bad move. I don't know that it matters. They should both be equally as good. They're both right-handers. It's not like you're going righty-lefty somehow. They've got plenty of rest. I don't really know that it matters. I'm not losing sleep over it one way or the other.
Well, I think the extra day for Wheeler can't hurt. So I'm fine with it. I think it's a good move. And
but he's going to get 7. I mean, he's going to get 7 days or whatever it is.
Well,
speaking of Zach Wheeler, we got to talk about him. 2 phenomenal games, not good games, great games, phenomenal games from him during crunch time. That's why they got him, and he paid his dividends. And I think, and Nola, I think he will respond better in this series than he did in his one outing in the San Diego series. I think a lot of nerves, the brother, the whole deal. I get that. I think he'll be better come the World Series.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about him. He's won me over. I mean, yeah, he had a little blip the last time out, but he was really, really good the last few times out there. Our buddy Freddie asking about that. Yeah, you do, but I don't know if they would pitch him, that much with that short amount of rest in between. So, yeah, you do lose him, but hey, hopefully you win it in 5 or 6, and then you don't have to worry about that, Freddie.
Yeah. Well, and he's right. He's right. But again, I think, is Nola Wheeler that much better than Nola? Do you get one side or the other? The thing that still worries me, Chet, just a little bit is you got to get consistency from Dominguez. You got to get consistency from Robertson. These guys, if we're going to continue to the way we are, and we're going to try to get 9 and 12 outs every night out of our bullpen, those guys have to be on. And John Smoltz was driving me crazy, but he was saying that, and he was right. You're asking a big thing for guys to be good every single night out of the bullpen to come in and be able to get 3 outs and be sharp every night.
I'm going to give Sir Anthony a pass on the last one. I think it was really just the weather. The hands were wet.
Stop
He was having trouble gripping. I mean, clearly 3 wild pitches. He was all over the place, and he wasn't nervous. I think it was the weather.
Who else in that game spiked the ball?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Some guys react differently to others. I think he just had trouble getting the proper grip. You'll deny it, but hey,
make me an excuse and cry me a river, pal.
Come on. Robertson walked a couple in a row too. Then he might have been having a little problem also. So, thank goodness for Ranger.
Strike zone. That's what his problem was. How about Alvarado? Man, he's pretty good. he's turned it around. He's really, really good.
And thank you to Bob Melvin for not bringing in Hader to face Harper. Boy, he's getting lambasted for that out in San Diego. I mean, you got Hader, one of the best closers in the business, who had struck out, I believe, the previous 8 batters that he faced, and he's got Harper there ready to go. I know Harper hits lefties well, but still, boy, I would have brought him in if I were the manager.
That's why you got Josh Hader for that situation. And, they said this on Post Game Live. I don't know that it's a fact, and I don't know that it's today, this year. But they said that in the past, Hader would not face 6 batters, would not face 6 outs.
Yeah.
He's a 1-inning guy. Well, you know what, pal? We need you now, and we need 6 outs. And we got you to get Harper out in this situation. And to leave him sitting out there, the guy pitched once in the whole series, that's really bad decision-making by Melvin or Hader, whoever made that call.
Yeah, but we'll take it. The Phillies have really had some good fortune, not only in the series, but in the whole year. I mean, think about it. They added the DH this year, so that gave Harper the opportunity to play. He wouldn't have had that opportunity.
Season saver for the Phillies.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they added another wild card team this year, the Phillies wouldn't be in the postseason if they didn't add that wild card. So they may be a team of destiny, Bill. I hate using that phrase, but you just
I hate to use that phrase either. Just keep winning games is what I say. But and they did it with getting very little offensively from Alec Boehm. He'll get straightened out. Bryson Stott just keeps getting big hits when they need him. You got to like him. Gene Segura had some downs and ups and crazy things happen, but he was solid. Just all the way around, I thought everybody really, really did a good job, including Nick Castellanos, who had a handful of hits as well.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot of fun. We'll talk about Segura and whether he should be back next year after this all ends. But right now, let's just enjoy it, enjoy the guys we have out there. But you know what? We all know this. Houston is a very, very good team. They've been to the series now 4 of the last 6 years. They've won, 105 or 106 games this year. Do you realize the last time they lost a game was 3.5 weeks ago, the night the Phillies clinched the spot in the postseason? Now, granted, they only played, 9 games since then. But they finished off with a couple of wins over the Phillies when it didn't matter for either teams. And then in the postseason, they swept both of their series, 7 games. So, yeah, they've won 9 in a row on top of the 105 in the regular season. So 7 in the postseason. Man, they're a good team, and they have the experience. They have some great hitters, some great pitching. I know we think the Phillies are playing well, but Houston's playing pretty well too. They haven't lost a series since late August.
Yeah. Well, and Jane says Nick had some great catches in the outfield too, and Jane is right. And to your point about the nine wins in a row, Boop is going to join us a little later. He posted a stat on that 9-game winning streak. We'll get him to tell us about that when we get to him shortly. For our football stuff, we're going to talk a little baseball with him as well. So, I think the big thing right now, Chet, is you're going to see Justin Verlander at least twice. He is a monster.
Oh, yeah.
He can be beat, but he's really good. You got to put the ball in play or he'll strike out 15 guys. Play small ball, work him. Toronto was one team that finally got to him for 6 runs early, had a 9-1 lead, and then blew the lead. The only game in that series that the Astros hit. And they didn't hit big against the Yankees either. So Phillies pitching needs to shut them down, and they need to play some small ball and get things going.
I'm not going to make any predictions. I'm just going to watch the games, hope for the best, and see what happens. I know the Astros are a heavy favorite, but hey, you got to play the games. The Braves were a pretty heavy favorite to beat the Phillies too. Look how that worked out. So let's get it going Friday night, Bill. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, I am going to make a prediction because I have kahunas, not like some apparently. And I'm going to say that the Phillies are going to win this thing. I believe it will be 6 games. I don't really want to go to a 7th game, although it would be awful fun to watch. But I think the Phillies are going to win this thing in 6.
I hope you're right. And I don't want a game 7 either, because that would be November 5th. And I'm supposed to go to a Hooters concert that night.
Well, the things you have to do for Hooters and baseball. I'll just leave
I'm not going there. Let's talk about insurance, Bill. Come on.
All right. We'll get back to the Phillies a little bit more when we get Boop with us. But hey, Chad, I'll tell you what, we know in the next 10 days at least, we're going to be spending more time on our couch than we are in our car. So it's time to start saving with Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance.
Yeah, you know it, Bill. Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance puts you in control. You only pay for the miles you drive. With the same full coverage that a traditional policy offers, pay-per-mile insurance gives customers greater control of their insurance costs. See how much you can save with pay-per-mile car insurance by calling your local agent. In Westchester, PA, that is, of course, Dave Lavoie. Call Dave at 610-430-0700. Once again, 610-430-0700. And start to save more now that you are driving less.
Hey, Chet, what's going on over at the Irish Rover? I'm sure this is a big restaurant bar week for sure with all these games every night of the week and the weekend as well. What's going on?
Hey, Bill, play along with me here, okay? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo-hoo.
Don't cry, Bill. Yes, the Irish Rover has scrapped its annual Halloween bash because, well, the Phillies are in the World Series. That's why. Stop crying, Bill. Yeah, the Phillies are playing Game 2 of the series Saturday night, as we all know. And the Rover, instead of having the Halloween bash they were going to have, wants you there for what they're calling a red out. Wear your Phillies red, cheer on Zach Wheeler and Bryce Harper and the guys, and enjoy drink specials and snag some prizes along the way. Yes, you will always find good times and great food and drink at the Irish Rover in Langhorne. And if you're a beer lover like me, remember there are always 24 beers on tap. Dinner specials Thursday through Sunday, drink specials during all Eagles games and during these World Series games. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne, and the website is, of course, irishroverstationhouse.com.
Hi, this is Ray Dinger, and it is always fun to talk sports with these two guys, Bill and Chet, on Philly Press Box Radio.
And it's always good to talk to Ray Diddy.
We're going to get Ray on again. We're going to.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, hey, let's welcome our man from Boop Stats, Bob Vitrone Jr. Is he live from Splits tonight? Nope, he's live from the Vitrone house.
Boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo.
Hi, guys.
Hey, we're looking for week 8 better tidbits, and we're going to talk some Phillies with you tonight. Throw that stat out I saw you post about the winning the 9 games.
Yeah, well, first of all, the one I put out that everybody got retweeted was the last 4 teams that went into the World Series undefeated in the postseason did not win the World Series. That goes back to the 2014 Royals, 2007 Rockies, the 1990 A's, and the 1988 A's. The Astros, like Chet said, have won 9 in a row. They are the 6th team that will head into the World Series with a winning streak of 9 or more games. The other 5, only one of them won the World Series. So something to hang your hat on.
I like it. I like that. I like that. All right, let's get to our football.
Let me just tell you one thing about the pitching, if I can. All right?
Go ahead.
Here's what I thought right away. I want to know which guy is going to give me an inning in Game 7 if I need it, having started in Game 6. Who's going to be my Randy Johnson if I need it? And I'm not saying it's wrong if the other guy can't be that guy, but is one of them more in a better place to do that than the other? Then I work around that because I think they're 1A and 1. So if I think Noah, someone said they thought Wheeler was gassed the other night. So maybe I don't want him having to be a guy to give me an inning in 7 if he gives me 7 innings on Game 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm looking at all hands in deck Game 7 that far ahead.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. All hands on deck if it gets to a Game 7. I mean, you're going to use everybody. I don't care if they pitched in Game 5 or Game 6 or whatever it takes. You got to go with it.
Which one is them is better suited for that? You know, I don't want to throw a guy out there who I think who I kind of know is going to explode with the, whatever. The other thing to know is Game 1, the Phillies have never won a playoff series when they've lost Game 1. So there you go.
And as we
they
said last week, the Phillies have also never played a Game 7 in the postseason
Correct.
series either.
Yep, one of 5 teams, I believe, in Major League Baseball.
And they're going to have to face Verlander. It doesn't get any better than that if you're going to win.
0-6 all time in the World Series, by the way, Josh Verlander.
0-6?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, something terrible like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Hey, I threw a question up here from Robbie. Both of you take a crack at it. Do you think the Astros will be overconfident?
I don't.
No.
Jack?
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think so either. In this day and age, it's a little hard to be overconfident when you see how good your opponent is 6 times a day on SportsCenter. You could catch teams napping certainly in lesser sports like college basketball and stuff back in the day. But as far as Major League, I mean, there are 9 shows on every day. The Astros knows what they're running into. And they have scouts and they have eyes, and a lot of these players have played with Phillies and against Phillies. So that's a lot less pertinent today than it might have been 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I'm with you too. All right, let's get to our football, then we'll come back to baseball. How's that? Chet, how did we do last week? And what are our standings?
Well, guys, you actually
didn't win again, did
you both picked up a game on the front runner, thanks to the stinking New York Football Giants winning yet another 1-score game, a comeback win over Dougie P's Jacksonville Jaguars. So you guys were both 3-1. I was 2-2, but I do still lead the overall standings. I'm not going to put up the big graphic this week. I am 18-10. Bill, you're within 1 game now at 17-11. And Boop, hey, you're back to the 500 mark at 14-14, 4 games behind the leader and defending champion.
Now I want to boo-hoo again.
Yeah, that's right. Boo-hoo. All right, let's go with our picks for win. Threw an extra game in here just so Chet would have to work a little bit harder. Boop, the add-in game, 49ers at the Rams. 49ers minus 1.5 after giving up 44 points or whatever against the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Rams, had a bye. They looked like they finally got it together against the Panthers and played well for the entire second half, and then they had a bye. That's a shame. Still, the way San Francisco kind of folded a little bit, the way I looked at it from my seat at the Splits Bar and Grill, which, by the way, is sponsoring my talk, they kind of folded a little bit against Patrick Mahomes and company. So I'm going with LA here.
I'm also taking the Rams. I'm surprised that the 49ers are favored by 1.5 on the road. That really shocked me. I think the Rams are a better team than what we've seen so far this year. I mean, heck, they're the defending champions like me. I'm taking the Rams.
We'll just skip that last comment. I'm going Rams also. I just, I get that Christian McCaffrey is going to make them better, but they gave up 44 points. He doesn't play defense. I'm going Rams. Washington. Matt Ryan is benched for the season. Carson Wentz is out for Washington. Colts -3 at home. I'm not sure about this one.
Well, I went numerology on this one. You mentioned Matt Ryan. He's got 2008 passing yards so far. The Phillies' last World Series was 2008. So even though he's not playing, I'm going with the Colts.
Ah, interesting. I had no idea. I kind of basically flipped a coin in my head and it landed on Washington. I am taking the Washington Commanders to win this one on the road.
I'm going to take the Colts only because, 2 reasons. One, they're at home, and 2 is they're going to have to figure this thing out. If it's going to be a full dose of running the ball with Jonathan Taylor or what it's going to be, they got to figure something out. But Washington's getting better, beating the gosh-awful Green Bay Packers team last week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Giants visit Seattle. Seahawks -3. Nobody wants to give the G-Man any love yet.
Last 4 games, fourth quarter scoring, Giants 45, opponents 9. Going with the Giants here.
Yeah, I kept writing the Giants off. You know what? I'm just going to say maybe they are actually a good team. They're 6-1. They got to be doing something right. I'm also taking the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, me too. Sooner or later, somebody got to love them a little bit, right? I mean, they keep winning. That's what it's all about. However ugly it might be, they're running the ball with Barkley, and they're playing good ball. Bears visit the Cowboys. Cowboys -9. I think that's. I think I know where this one's going.
Yeah, it's only the Cowboys' third 1 p.m. game of the. Oh, sorry.
Time to wake up, Boop.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go on a show. I got my alarm set. It's only Dallas's third 1 p.m. game of the year. The other two they won by 15 and 18. So for no other reason, time of day, I'll go with Dallas easily to cover.
I'm taking them to win the game. Certainly, I don't know if they'll cover or not. Doesn't really matter for our picks, but the Cowboys are clearly the better team here. Much as that pains me to say that, yeah, got to go Dallas.
Yep, me too. All right, last up, Eagles host the Steelers. Eagles minus 10. Steelers aren't very good, but that's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points. It's the Eagles' first of 3 straight games against teams that are currently in last place. I'd almost want to call it a trap game, but there's no other end of the trap. And I think Sirianni has a pretty good feel for the locker room to be able to keep them plowing through even the bad teams. So I think they roll.
I should mention that I will be at the game on Sunday.
Oh, I changed my mind.
I believe they have lost 7 of the last 8 games of which I was in attendance. That's going to change this week. I am taking the Eagles to win and to cover. I have the Birds winning 31-16.
Yeah,
they haven't lost at home to Pittsburgh since 1965, right?
I know.
Okay.
How about that?
But was Chet there in 1965?
30 that day.
I was actually there for one of the wins over the Steelers, maybe 12 years ago or whatever. So, yeah, Eagles are winning this one.
All right, Boop, throw us some weekly splits, bar and grill tidbits for game.
Well, we said the Eagles are a 10-point favorite. It's the 41st time they've been a double-digit favorite at home in their history, which is 78 or so since lines became pertinent. They're 30-10 straight up when they are a double-digit favorite. They have won the last 9 games straight up when they are a double-digit favorite at home. But more importantly, they're 7-2 against the spread in those 9 games. So they have been covering when they're that big of a favorite at home. And for my purposes, in those 7 covers they've had, 5 of them have been unders. So I'm leaning towards the cover and the under. And with that in mind, my score is going to be 28-10.
There you go.
28-10. Okay. Any other tidbits throughout the season, or I'm going to jump back to baseball for you?
Go ahead. Baseball's fine.
All right. So I just to get you off your Boop stats, just as a fan watching the game, what did you think about that series, and what did you think about the Bedlam at the bank?
Well, I just wish I wish he had one more B. Bedlam at the Bank, or with Bryce or something like that. And I do believe Bedlam at the Bank was the working title for Dog Day Afternoon way back in the day. I'm not sure about that. You'd have to check it out. The thing that was most impressive about this Phillies team in these 2 series was whether it was an inning or whether it was a game, they bounced right back from a 4-run inning or a bad inning, whatever, which is a lot of what we saw towards the end of September was them not bouncing back. It was the other way where they'd have a good inning and then surrender runs. So they've kind of reversed where they've kind of put out the bad stuff out of their mind and just said, bang, let's do what we do and get on with it and worry about it later. It's like a total flip of that. You're going to give up runs in this game. You're going to make errors. You're going to strike out. It's the next batter, the next ball, the next swing, the next pitch that matters. And they've got that mindset down to a science right now.
Yeah, they act like they never think they're out of it, and anybody can be a hero, whether it's Segura, Stott, somebody down the bottom of the lineup, Veerling getting hits.
Yeah, I am in for 20. I'm in for 25 bucks.
As bad as Bohm struggled.
I'm in for 25 bucks on Nick Castellanos to win the MVP at 40-1. So It's his turn, if you're asking me, who's going to be the big guy in the series.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Hey, what I was going to say is,
Sorry about that.
as much as he struggled throughout, Alec Bohm at the plate in this series comes up with a defensive play that was huge. Mm-hmm. Everybody on this team is finding a way to contribute, and I think that's really key.
Yeah, fun to watch.
Yes, sir. All right. Anything else?
Boop will be at splits at least 8 times over the next 9 days. That's my prediction.
I've been in there 8 times in one day. So, yes, it's very possible.
So, Boop, let everyone know where they can follow you, your social media platforms, your splits, bar and grill. Throw it all out there.
Yeah, I'll be at Splits most of the weekend, like we said, for either Phillies games or Eagles games or the big Union match Sunday night. But you can follow me on Twitter at BoopStats. A lot of people do. A lot of the things Bill had mentioned. I got lots of retweets by some people I know in the business, and lots of people got to see those numbers. You can see them too by following me at Twitter, checking out my website at boopstats.com, or just stopping by the Splits and having a beer with me.
There you go. One final comment for you. And we're going to get to this with Zach Berman here shortly when we get Zach. Eagles making Eagles making a move today to bolster the defensive line. Howie and the boys are continuing to work the lines. I'm thinking they're going all in here in 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. And that does a lot more than just shores up the defensive line. It tells the other players on the team, if you got something going on, let me know and maybe we can fix it. He's not against fixing anything that's, could be a problem or when something comes up. And it not only helps that particular position, but it's part of keeping the locker room together is, keeping players, the position healthy when even individual players aren't. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. All right, Boop.
Okay.
Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Hey, Chet, let's, as we said, we're going to have to wait on Zach. Hopefully we get him.
Yep.
He's working. Can't argue with that.
Yeah, he said he should be on by around 7:40. So if all goes well, we'll have him within the next 5 minutes, Bill.
Okay. Well, I posed a question to you the other day, and you surprised me a little bit with your answer. When the Sixers were 0-3 before they won that one game, I asked you how short that leash was on Glenn Rivers, and you said very short. You surprised me a little bit. You ready to pull the plug on him?
Oh yeah, I was never really a huge fan of his. I think there are better coaches out there. So yeah, I'm not ready to do it yet, but I would give him, maybe 20 games or so. And
20?
if they're 10-10 or certainly 8-12 or whatever, I would seriously consider making a change at that point. Right now they're 1-3. They're going up against the Toronto team the next couple of games. That's not that great. So they got a shot to get back on track. Harden's playing well. Embiid looked a whole lot better the last time out, and most importantly, the bench looked really, really good. Finally scored some points. So maybe things are coming around. But I would not be shocked if Doc did not make it through the season.
Well, let's hope that they play a little bit better ball. But hey, on a better note, we have Zach Berman with us, and Zach is now working for the Atlantic. He covers the Eagles.
Athletic.
He's the Eagles beat writer.
Get it right.
Athletic. I'm sorry. The Athletic, and covers the Eagles. He's the beat writer. He's been busy. We told the viewers, Zach, that you were tied up actually having to work tonight. Welcome to your first visit to Philly Press Box Radio.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Zach, the big news of the day, of course, which is why you had to join us a little later than expected, was the acquisition of Robert Quinn. Pretty good player, certainly last year for the Bears. 18.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. I know he's not a kid anymore, but what do you think of this deal?
I really like the deal. I think if you looked at where the Eagles could upgrade, edge rusher was atop that list. And when you consider the fact that there's playing time there, they use a rotation. And ever since Derek Barnett's injury in week 1, they've been going with Patrick Johnson and Teron Jackson. So there are snaps to distribute for Quinn. Number 2, they're playing with a lead. They've had 14-point leads in every game so far this season. Teams are going to have to pay. It's hard to sustain or maintain that pace, but it's reasonable to expect them to be leading in the fourth quarter of games this year. Teams are going to have to throw the ball. You're going to need good pass rushers. And Robert Quinn, even though his production isn't there through 6 weeks this season, he's one of the most prolific, productive pass rushers of the past decade. In the league, there are only 7 players with at least 100 sacks. Robert Quinn is one of them. So to get him at a moderate cost, a 4th-round pick for essentially a rental, I think it's a fair deal, and it's the type of trade that you make if you view yourself as a contender, and the Eagles should view themselves as contenders.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned playing with a lead. The Eagles in the first half have been really, really good. Does it concern you any that they seem to take their foot off the gas? I'm always saying step on their throat, and they seem to be taking their foot off the gas in the second half.
I understand the question, and it's obviously come up often during these past few weeks. I think if your team's problem is that they're not doing enough to build on their double digit leads, then that's a good problem to have, right? They haven't lost the game yet. They do need to play better in the third quarter of games. I would say in particular. It's hard to say why they're so productive in the second quarter. I mean, they are at a historic pace in the second quarter of games this season. I think the way they play is different. Late in games, obviously, from a defensive perspective, you want the opposing offense to go on long, extended drives. I mean, I think Jonathan Gannon said it last week that in some situations, if an offense goes on a 12-play drive that takes 7 minutes off the clock, that's not the worst thing in the world when you have a two-possession lead. Now, the Dallas game and the Arizona game probably got a little too close for comfort. All right, the Arizona game in particular was tied, and then the Eagles had to go kick a field goal there. But overall, I think there are things that could happen there are things they can do that can improve that on the defensive side, getting more pass rush production in the second half of games. They have 10 second half sacks this season, but only 1 during these past 2 games. So getting Robert Quinn can help you there. And then offensively, there are things they can do as well. But overall, I don't think it's as big of a problem as it's being made out to be, because they've been able to, for the most part, hold these leads and win these games.
Zach, we're all pleasantly surprised, of course, by the 6-0 start for the Eagles and by the play of the quarterback in particular. Jalen Hurts has surprised a lot of us with how well he has performed. Do you think he can keep this up, or defense is going to make more adjustments to him to somehow limit his effectiveness?
Yeah, defenses will make adjustments, and then Hurts is going to have to adjust to their adjustments. Right? That's the nature of football. I think there are parts of this that I definitely think he can't keep up. He's such a weapon when he runs the ball, and the threat of him running really changes the shape of the defense. And I don't see that changing. He's been real efficient in the passing game. I think he'll maintain that. The one thing that I think has a chance to have a bit of an uptick here is turnovers. He's done an outstanding job of not turning the ball over, and there can be a bit of a regression to the mean there if you think that he's kind of playing above his head in the turnover department. But everything else, I think he'll sustain it. But I do think there are going to be defenses that blitz more against him. There are going to be defenses that try to give him some uncomfortable looks, and it's going to be incumbent upon Jalen Hurts to adjust to that.
Understanding there's only so many balls to go around and so many weapons to get it to, does it surprise you any that Zach Pascal and Quez Watkins have a combined 12 catches in 6 games, and they're really haven't been much part of the offense at this point? To me, there's a lot more to this offense that can still happen that we haven't seen yet.
Well, no, that does not concern me, and I actually think that's probably a good thing. And that's no disrespect to Zach Pascal or Quez Watkins, but if you have the option to pass the ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, or to Zach Pascal and Quez Watkins, you should throw it to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. I think that Quez and Pascal, and you extend it even to Kenny Gainwell and Jack Stoll, they're complementary pieces. And going into this year, I expected there to be a high usage rate among the top 3. And that's exactly what you've seen. Those are the guys who are getting the bulk of the targets. I don't see that changing, and I don't think that should change. I think that throw it to Quez Watkins if he's open downfield. Throw it to Zach Pascal, on a third down when you're 5 wide or I should say empty with a tight end, and he has the 4th cornerback on him. But don't throw it to Zach Pascal when you could throw it to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert. That's just kind of the way I look at it.
Zach, the Eagles have a pretty favorable schedule going forward. Any of these games worry you? Should we be concerned about any of these teams?
Well, the Packers, I think, are going to be a better team when they see them. And that's not said with any evidence this year to support it. It's said with, nearly 2 decades of evidence of Aaron Rodgers' greatness, right? And I think that over the course of the year, the Packers, I need to believe they'll sort themselves out, and I think that could be a tougher game. I can't really tell you that the Colts are going to be as tough as I thought they were going to be. They've made a quarterback change this week. We'll see how that affects them. But I thought that was going to be a tough game going into the year. The other games fall in the any given Sunday category. But overall, I think that the toughest games are the Packers. They have the Titans. The Giants are a 6-1 team, and it's hard to luck your way in the 6 wins in 7 games. So those could be tough games as well. But I still think the Packers game is the toughest game they have left.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that quarterback list, I was actually going to bring that up. That quarterback list to me makes it look like the Eagles can have a pretty good run of success against these youngsters with the points the Eagles can score and that they play solid defense and going to make these young quarterbacks work.
Yeah, you're correct about that. And now Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers, and then to a degree Ryan Tannehill are I mean they're formidable opponents. But then when you look at Kenny Pickett and Davis Mills and Taylor Heineke and Sam Ehlinger, these are quarterbacks that the Eagles should beat, and so the Eagles are going to be favored in every one of those games. And they there's reason to believe that with the way they're playing offensively and some of these upgrades they have on defense, that they'll maintain this pace.
Zach, other than Jalen Hurts, who's been the biggest surprise on this year's Eagles team?
Other than Jalen Hurts, because I think it's fair to say Jalen Hurts has been the biggest surprise. I would probably go with TJ Edwards. And the reason I say that is because TJ Edwards for the past 3 years, right? This is his 4th year in Philly. For the past 3 years, it's like they've been trying to replace him almost, right? It's each year he's not a starter, and then by middle of the season he kind of becomes a starter. And then this year he's finally the starter from week 1, and he's not just a replacement level linebacker for them. He's value added at that position, and that's a credit to him. It's a credit to his development. And I'll be honest with you, when they drafted Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round, I was kind of waiting. All right, when's Nakobe Dean going to get into the starting lineup? And that hasn't been the case. And it's not any fault of Nakobe's. It's because TJ Edwards and Kaiser White have both been productive in their roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think of the play of the defensive backfield? They've been making big plays from the turnover standpoint, but overall play, pretty satisfied with?
Yeah, really impressed. In particular, the corners, James Bradbury and Darius Slay. I don't think it's a stretch to say that's the best cornerback combination in the NFL based on the way they played this year. And then the safeties have given them upgraded performance relative to last season. In particular, you get C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's been hot and cold, but he obviously had the interceptions last week. And then Marcus Epps has really been a solid player for them. So you can have questions about their depth there, but I think overall they're playing well in the secondary.
Well, you've covered the Eagles a full 10 years now, Zach. Any particular favorite players or coaches you had to interview?
Well, Malcolm Jenkins always comes to mind. Malcolm Jenkins was someone who was honest. He was available, and he was a top of the league player. And so when you have those 3 factors, you're relevant, you're honest, and you're available, it's a good combination. And so I really enjoyed covering Malcolm Jenkins. There's so many guys, and it's incumbent upon the reporter to find common ground and a reason to get along and have professional relationships with all of them. But Malcolm Jenkins, Zach Ertz, Jason Kelsey. I really like covering Michael Vick when he was here. Nick Foles in particular, the second time around. I can go on down the list. So many players from that 2017 team. I'm behind my shoulder here is a book, Underdogs, which I wrote after the 2017 season, and I couldn't have done it without like the help and the honesty of so many. Thank you for putting that up there. Mm-hmm. Of so many players in that locker room, and the same thing with coaches and executives and ownership. So I think it's incumbent upon the reporter more than the player and the coach and the executive to have that relationship.
Very good. Hey, I wanted to jump back to the current day. What's the status of Lane Johnson? Is he healthy and ready to go after the bye week?
So Nick Sirianni said today that he was still in the concussion protocol, and there's stages to that, and you have to essentially graduate out of it. But he was limited at practice today, which is a good sign that he's progressing. I do think he's going to play. Now, concussions, the one thing I should note about concussions is they're out of the team's hands, right? And so the team can't say, all right, Lane, go tough this out, right? He has to be cleared by an independent neurologist in order to be out there. But based on the trajectory that you see, that he was in practice uniform today, that he was out there on the practice field, and that he was a limited participant in practice, and it's Wednesday and they play Sunday, that leads me to believe that he's in good position to play on Sunday.
Hey, Zach, we got about 2 minutes left with you. Your old pal, Boop, Bob Vitrone Jr. said to say hello. We had him on earlier. And I think he sent this to you and me, a group email today. He was wondering if maybe your parents are Chris Berman and Ethel Merman. Here we go. Is it true they're your parents?
No, they are not. It's funny. You're only seeing me from, I guess, the chest up here. If your viewers and listeners saw me in person, they would see that I am much smaller than Chris Berman
and Ethel Merman.
And there was a former Eagles coach who said to me, "You're definitely not related to Chris Berman." So I would say that based on size alone, I'm not related to Chris Berman.
And I was going to say that looking at our names, Berman, Furman, and Chesko sounds like a low-budget law firm.
Hey,
Right?
sign me up for that, right?
Yeah, me too. I'm available. Hey, Zach, before we let you go, let everybody know how they can follow you on your social media, everything you have going on. Check you
Sure,
out.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you can follow me first off at The Athletic. If you go to The Athletic, you can find all our Eagles coverage. And when I say our, Bo Wolf is my colleague on the Eagles beat. And then you'll find coverage of all the Philly sports teams, of all the professional leagues across the United States, college, and then even soccer abroad. So I'm biased, obviously, but I think The Athletic is a great investment for any sports fan. You can follow my podcast, our podcast, when I do with Bo Wolf and Marissa Dunn 3 days a week. It's called Birds with Friends. We're on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast. And then you can find me on social media at ZBerm, ZBERM.
Two things. I actually pay for the Athletic subscription, so
I appreciate that.
you guys do a great job. And Birds with Friends. I love that name. That's a great name for a podcast.
That's a credit to Bo Wolf there.
I like it.
One final comment. Do you have one eye on the Phillies?
I have two eyes on the Phillies. Yeah. So the way the schedule works out is that it's pretty conducive to watching the Phillies game. Thursday, the Eagles play next Thursday. There's no Phillies game. The Eagles play Sunday. There's no Phillies game. So it works out well. And a matter of fact, if this series goes to 6 games, I'm in Houston next Thursday for the Eagles-Texans game. I might have to change my flight to check out that Phillies-Astros game. It's probably easier to get tickets in Houston than it is in Philly at this point.
Yeah,
it only takes a credit card at this point.
There you go.
If you're already there, just throw down a credit card.
There you go.
All right, Zach. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Go Eagles, go Phillies.
Absolutely. Thanks for accommodating me.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
All right, Chad. Hey, let's give out. That was great, by the way.
Yeah, he's
Let's
awesome.
give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. Wall-to-wall coverage. Also going to be some live events going on that are going to come out here next day. So the World Series gets started. You can catch all the action, www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. Find our show, Philly Press Box Radio, YouTube as well. Check out, hit all the subscribe, follow, like buttons, and share with your family and friends. As you can see, it is loaded up, and Chet, you might could shed some light. We had a little call the other night with all of us trying to figure out every night pre and post Phillies game coverage is going to happen as well.
Yeah, we're still finalizing that, but we got all the covers, all the bases covered. Sorry, no pun intended. So yeah, looking forward to the World Series and EOP's coverage of it. And speaking of which, Bill, a couple of things related to that. I've been to this place, Dolan's, over there in Ridley Park, and they got Tommy Green, Lenny Dykstra, hopefully he'll show up, and Mickey Morandini for 3 of the games on the World Series schedule. So if you want to go hang out and watch the game with these guys, there's your opportunity right there, including Friday night. Tommy Green, great guy to hang with. And I also want to mention what's going on with Philly Sports Trips. The guys at Philly Sports Trips have just this week arranged a trip to Houston for the World Series. Obviously, the first 2 games of the series. Check the website to see if any openings remain because, game 1 is Friday. They have road trips to all Eagles games, a journey next March for some Philly spring training action, and the opportunity to hang there with legendary Phil skipper Charlie Manuel. Get all the details on their website, phillysportstrips.com. Again, phillysportstrips.com.
And just remember, when you go to Dolan's, you're going deep in the heart of Delco. So be careful.
Oh, yeah.
There, friends. All right. Hey, Chet, I'm not going to let you off the hook. We got to talk about the Union. That's right, the Union. They're playing in the MLS semifinal Saturday night against stinking New York City. Could there be another Philly champion? I know you've been following.
Well, I have. It's actually Sunday night, Bill. Sunday night. I swear to God, the 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern time at Subaru Park in Chester. The game to be broadcast on FS1. The winner to face the winner from the afternoon battle between the Los Angeles FC and Austin FC clubs. That'll be a week from Saturday. And yeah, the Union certainly has a shot, Bill. And by the way, congrats to Union head coach Jim Curtin, who for a second time has just been named MLS Coach of the Year. The MLS the Union also has the goalkeeper of the year in Andre Blake. So yeah, they got a lot of talent there. And hey, they're one of the Final Four. So of course they have a shot. Sunday night, FS1.
Sunday night. I'll tell you what, I might just turn it on just because they're playing stinking New York and we always want to beat them.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Chet, great guest tonight in Zach Berman and Boop. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
Well, Bill, I'm glad you asked. And I don't have the first guest totally lined up yet, but it will be somebody talking about the World Series because we assume that there will be a Game 5 Wednesday night at 8:03. So we're going to be on from 7 to 8 Eastern time, our usual time slot next week, kind of acting as a pregame show for that. We will have someone on for sure talking Phillies, and then we will have a second guest as well. It's our old pal who's a diehard Eagles fan. He is also the executive director of the Barkan Foundation, which has a big event coming up real soon in November. It's Mike Barnes. Mike Barnes, diehard fan, as I said, of the Eagles, and they are celebrating their 10th anniversary at the Barkan Foundation. He and Michael Barkan and company. So going to be fun to talk to Mike for the first time in a couple of years.
Mike won't be too fired up.
Never, no.
he reminds me of that Freddie Burns. He just stays jacked up.
You know, the sad thing is, Bill, I didn't have time for my random chat this week. I was going to do a whole bunch of Halloween-related jokes, but we ran out of time.
Thank goodness we talk sports instead.
Flyers are 4-2.
We already did the boo-hoo thing, what knock thing.
Get back on the winning track, Flyers. You're still 4-2, looking good. Not looking so good. Penn State, 15.5-point underdog to Ohio State this weekend at Beaver Stadium. That's scary, Bill.
It is. And the worst part is Ohio State could cover that. That's the really scary part. It's not unreasonable.
I will not be wagering on that one.
One can hope, the last time that Penn State got really blown out by Michigan, they bounced back and beat Minnesota and then beat Ohio State. So
2016, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? We'll wrap this thing up because we were just about out of time.
What is a ghost's favorite vacation spot? Lake Erie. What do you call a witch at the beach?
Hey, how about we stop with all that? Hey, by the way, I'm going on the record. I'm going on the record right now. Write this down. 15-2.
15-2. What are we talking about?
The
Eagles. Oh.
15-2.
I'm sticking with my prediction, which was 11-6. So yeah,
Look
I'll stick with 11.
Quarterbacks they're playing.
But yeah, I think they very well could go 15 or 14-3 at the worst. Right. Go Birds! Okay. Go Phillies! Wrap
it up. Let's thank tonight's special guests, Zach Berman and Bob Vitrone Jr., our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Bob Sullivan's LakeYourAge.com, PPCC 118 Razroof, Dave Lavoie of Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. For Jim, Chet, Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, November 2nd already. Chet, it's Red October coming to an end at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, listen through our website, phillypressboxradio.com, on blogtalkradio.com/phillypressboxradio, on Google Podcasts, as well as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Go Phillies, go Birds, go Union.
And happy Halloween as well.
I hope